should have your own way of protecting yourself and your families. You could not be more secure than to be in good with your neighbors and have them in on the plan. If they're secure, you're secure too. All right? But I'm telling you, when the breakdown happens, the economic collapse is on its way. It's not a matter of if, but when. It's coming. Who's going to be the first one crawling through your window for your supplies?
The liberals.
Yeah, the liberals. That's right. Luckily, they won't have guns. You know, it's going to be those roving gangs, the 2 generations that we've allowed the government re-education camps to educate them. The government's to raise our kids. We've got 2 generations on the street that don't know their ass from their elbow. They're going to be crawling through your window because they don't have a work ethic anymore. We've outsourced a lot of that stuff to other countries. I come from a family that used to be machinists. They made things. These companies provided jobs for people, for them to raise their families. It's all gone. The work ethic's gone. These re-education camps. Boy, am I glad there's a Common Core table over here. Oh, boy. Those folks, I know you've been out doing some hard work. If your signatures don't show up over there by the end of the day, something is wrong. Have you seen what they're pushing through Common Core? Last time, 2 years ago, I got up here and I took all you men to task, didn't I? I gave credit to the mama bears out there. I tell you, when a mother feels that her cubs are being attacked, I don't care if it's physical, intellectual, regulatory, any way they come under assault or attack, boy, that mama bear instinct comes out. That's why I don't mind surrounding myself with some very outspoken and women that are just firm in their belief and committed. If they get stuff done. And I express my shame with the gentlemen out there. There used to be a day when your kids and your wives and your sisters and your moms came under attack, you would rise to your feet and you would deny them. We've been emasculated. We've been diverted. Grab the friggin' remote and turn your TV on. Something will amuse you and make it better. Make the pain go away. Well, it doesn't. When you turn the blasted TV on, when was the last time you saw good news? When did you see a news article of Congress at work where a right was fortified instead of licensed? I'm going to stay on the Second Amendment here. My next speaker, an old friend of mine, just one of those activists that I bump into. We've worked on a lot of things. He actually helped us stop the pandemic bill here in Massachusetts. If you think back a few years ago, there was a bill to force vaccinate you, to pull your kids out of your house, vaccinate them in the school. If you refuse, they could quarantine your house and you one place, your wife another, a kid another. Came out of, I believe it came out of the House, unanimous, and we found out about it late. And then a band of about 30 of us got together. We hit the panic button and put the word out and said, we have got to get up to Boston. And we did, and for about 7 to 8 weeks straight, our people knocked on doors, put people on warning. We didn't go in and beg for nothing. We said, if you come at me with a needle, we're going to shoot you. That you're attacking me with a needle. Might as well be a baseball bat or a gun. I said, no, you come at me with a needle, that's what you can expect. Who's going to put their boots on the door to do that? We put them on notice, and that was it. That thing died in committee. Don't think that type of evil don't come back again. My next speaker is Mr. Dave McGonigle. He was there on that day to work with me on that. He's worked with me on a number of Second Amendment things. And, you know, I felt compelled to include him on this because he really likes the philosophy of Dr. Edwin Vieira. I don't know if you know him. He's a constitutional scholar. The man is just a genius when it comes to the Constitution, and specifically the Second Amendment and the militia. Yeah, I said that, the militia. Most of you out there right now are members of the militia. You may be delinquent in your training, but nonetheless, you are. Well, Mr. Vieira is just a brilliant guy, and I did my radio show. It's only a 1-hour show. I'm talking with him. I forgot about the equipment. My head comes up. We're an hour and a half into it, and I said, well, I guess we're doing a 2-hour show today. And we did. And I tell you that he has forgotten more than I'll ever know about the Second Amendment. And my next guest here is a student of his, and he recently wrote a book called Execute the Laws to Repair the Republic. And I'd like to introduce to the mic Mr. Dave McGonigle.
Thank you, Dave. Great job you're doing here. Yeah, that pandemic bill in 2009, before the House vote came up, it was on the front page, Boston Sunday Globe, Sunday Patriot Ledger. It had initially in April passed the Massachusetts Senate 36-0, unanimous. And that bill ended up dying in conference committee after the House came up with a different bill. So that was a great victory for the people of Massachusetts. Back in 2009. That bill came out of the Mexican swine flu scare, where the World Health Organization declared a level 6 pandemic, which is the highest. And what did the swine flu scare turn out to be? Basically nothing. Some people died in Mexico City, and it was nothing after that. And that prompted some of the states to come through with these public health emergency bills. And now we're hearing that some prognosticators are claiming that firearms are now considered a public health emergency or a public health deterrent, which is craziness. And I thought in my mind that back in 2009, that if a health inspector and a policeman protecting the health inspector entered your home without a warrant during a public health emergency, that one of the things they would declare as a public health deterrent was your firearms. So it's very good that that bill never went anywhere. But I really got sidetracked there after Jay mentioned that, because I'm only supposed to have 7 minutes here. So I'm gonna fly through this info quickly. The book's over on the JBS table, John Birch Society table, Execute the Laws to Restore the Republic. Execute the Laws is from Article 1, Section 8, Clause 15, which talks about calling forth the militia to execute the laws of the Union, repel insurrections, suppress insurrections and repel invasions. And that is supposed to be an emergency power and duty of state militia in any emergency. Katrina, Sandy, blackouts, what have you. Okay. 4 March 1789. Resolution of Congress that further declaratory and restrictive clauses be proposed to the legislatures of the several states. Now, I'm going to talk about the militia of the several states. So what does the several states mean? Back then it meant 13 states. Now several states means 50 states. So it's a differentiation between the Army and Navy of the United States and the militia of the several states, which is in Article 2, Section 2, Clause 1. So that was 4 March 1789, proposing the amendments in Congress. 15 December 1791, amendments ratified by the states. Amendment 2, which includes the 4th militia clause out of 5 militia clauses in the Constitution and Bill of Rights. Quote, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. Everybody chime in. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Hooah! Word understood and acknowledged. Hooah! Okay, understanding is the key that opens the door. Self-defense for survival, Safety and health is the first of the laws of nature and nature's God, which exists to facilitate the exercise of our Creator endowed unalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of property. People enter society and form government for the purpose of the common defense of life, liberty, and property. John Locke, Samuel Adams, Thomas Jefferson, Frederick Bastiat, all confirm the same, quote, the grand end of civil government is the common defense of life, liberty, and estate. That was Locke, or property. That was Samuel Adams. Jefferson declared life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness to be unalienable rights. Bastiat defined, quote, the law, unquote, as the collective defense of life, liberty, and property. If any of you don't know who Frederick Bastiat is or was, he was a French political economist, and there are two English translations of his book, The Law, and this is all in there. It's only 60 pages, and there are two published versions of The Law in English. It's available on Amazon or wherever. Okay, Colonial Provincial Militia Acts. Acts being a law or statute. The absolute right and power of organized common defense against invasions was enumerated in detailed militia statutes beginning 150 years prior to the 1787 Constitution. So the National Guard claims falsely that they were created in 1636 in Salem, Massachusetts. Well, that was actually when three regiments of militia were formed in 1636 in Salem, Massachusetts. National Guard didn't come around until 1903. November 1772, the Boston Town Meeting resolved to form a committee of correspondence whose initial duty was to write a report, that was Sam Adams' authorship, deliver copies throughout the colonies, and urge similar committees to be formed throughout. That report, The Rights of the Colonists, was kind of an early version of the Declaration. It had a first section of rights, asserted rights, and then a second section is asserted violations by the British Crown. August 1774, Worcester County was the first to convene local committees of safety. Local committees of correspondence delegates in county conventions in Massachusetts Bay Province. That's August 1774, in response to British Parliament's coercive acts that ordered the British Navy closure of the port of Boston, the quartering of British soldiers in people's homes, military control of Boston, disarmament, etc. The political response, county conventions and committee delegates approved resolves. They ordered the takeover of county courthouses, enforced resignation of Crown appointed officials with their hat in hand, walking publicly down the street, resigning with their hat in hand. And that was done by assembly. Now, assembly in the First Amendment. By assembly, in each case, at the county courthouse, of thousands of unarmed, that's unarmed militiamen. They recommended the convening, in these county conventions, recommended the convening of a provincial Congress. Massachusetts Bay Congress, Connecticut, New Hampshire. September 1774, the Suffolk County resolves, Boston, delivered by Paul Revere to the First Continental Congress, convened in Philadelphia, and approved by Continental Congress. October 1774, Massachusetts Provincial Congress was formed. They resolved to form and appoint a committee of safety with 24/7 control over the militia when Congress was not in session, and the power over the sword throughout the province. And the Congress appointed a receiver general to control public power of the purse through Massachusetts Bay. So these two powers, the power of the purse, the power of the sword, these are two of the things that Dr. Vieira is a top expert on. He's also a top expert. He wrote a 600-page book recently on alleged, quote-unquote, martial law. Okay, in comparison to recent events. Now this, what I'm going to say here might be controversial, but it's, according to the information I have, it's true. In comparison to recent events, the alleged County Committee of Safety formed in Oregon was not an official committee formed at an official county government meeting. I'll be around later for anyone seeking discussion on that particular matter and the future forming of committees of correspondence and official committees of safety. 19 April 1775, governance by new provincial congresses was in place when the British Army was ordered out to invade Lexington and Concord, and then sadly defeated by Middlesex County militia units. Except for British military control of Boston, Americans had already taken control of government before the shot heard around the world. 17 June 1775, commemorated yesterday, the Battle of Bunker Hill, where militia regiments from Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Connecticut again defended against the British invaders. The following imperatives and principles are paraphrased by me from Edwin Vieira's little 118-page book here, 13 words, which are the first clause 1 of the Second Amendment. And I'm adding in my own comments. Now this little book will fit in your sport jacket pocket, inside or outside. Question: why is revitalization of the militia of the several states such an imperative today? Now again, several states means 13 then. Today, several states means the 50. Imperative 1. Present-day problem of so-called, quote-unquote, homeland security. Fact. Constitutional security, mandated by constitutional enumeration, has been non-existent for over a century. Constitutional security has been non-existent since 1903 because unconstitutional early 20th century statutes disbanded we the people from local county state militia command structures organizations. Imperative 2. Why we need revitalization. The constitutional imperative of a well-regulated militia. And on that you can see Clause 16 in Article 1, Section 8 on what that is. And also 13 words. Imperative number 3, the National Guard is neither a well-regulated militia, nor part of the militia of the several states, nor any form of militia whatsoever. Now that will contradict, when you look up in the United States Code, Title 10, Section 311, you'll see a fake organization called the Militia of the United States, which is not in the Constitution. You'll see a false allegation the National Guard shall be the organized militia. And then you'll also see this other fake entity, not in the Constitution. Everybody who's not in the National Guard is in the so-called unorganized militia. The oxymoron. Okay, imperative number 4, the constitutional principles of the militia that must be applied today. Okay, principles under this imperative 4. Principle 1, militia of the several states are based upon each person's individual and especially the community's collective rights, powers, privileges, and duties of self-defense under the laws of nature and nature's God. Principle 2, each of the militia of the several states must always be identified as the militia of a particular state and by no other name. Principle 3, militia of the several states must always be strictly differentiated from the regular Army and Navy of the United States and from the troops or ships of war that states may keep in time of peace with the consent of Congress. That's state troops. It's Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3. Principle 4, the militia of the several states are governmental establishments, not private institutions. Imperative number 5, following the constitutional principles. Revitalization of the militia is a necessary, realistic, and urgent goal. Urgent Urgencies under the militia revitalization goal. A, revitalization of the militia is constitutionally required. B, we the people can revitalize the militia if they put forth the necessary effort. Yes. I was going to say something right at the end, which I'm getting there to, but regarding that, I recently met with a senior advisor to a New England governor. He's a conservative. So you can eliminate, by process of elimination, you may be able to figure out who it is. But I had a very good meeting, and the reason for that I asked for the meeting, and I was surprised I even got the meeting, was I had a proposal that the governor write 1, 2, or 3 executive orders, and it would include appointing a deputy adjutant general over the state militia, being that in that state, the deputy adjutant has the same power as the adjutant. And since the federal government, under the U.S. Army, has taken over all the 50 adjutants, the 50 adjutants can't do the job of the militia of the several states because they're under U.S. Army control. The Clause 12 Army can't take over the clauses 15 to 16 militia. If they could, then you could say the Clause 12 Army could take over the Clause 13 Navy and Marines. Cannot happen. So, okay, the second part of that, the deputy adjutant, you point that, in that state law already gives the governor power to enroll the militia. And that would be done through the local assessor or town clerk. And the third part would be activation. The governor can activate. County judges and sheriffs can order activate through the county commanding officer. And local officials can request to the local commanding officer that he call them out. And the reason, I gave him the civic reason to do all this. We have a candidate running for president that, in my estimation, he needs more security. So the activation would be to perform specialized security duty, specifically under the employ of the campaign or through an agreement between the two governors, wherever that candidate may be, what state. There would be an agreement where that state militia could go, the volunteer militia who volunteered and qualified, could go follow this candidate around the country. Well, we'll see what happens with that proposal. Americans in sufficient numbers, sufficient numbers must learn from history and take back the reins of sovereignty. The first 13 words of the Second Amendment declare with crystal clarity precisely how this can and must be done. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. Necessary, meaning not optional. D. The urgency of militia revitalization appears most starkly as the remedy for quote-unquote gun control, color of law, and the irrational hysteria of rogue public officials and the media. E. Another urgency for militia revitalization is the necessity for the militia to execute the laws, including the supreme law, i.e., the necessity for calling forth the militia to enforce the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And thus, returning to number one of the constitutional principles, being the individual duty of self-defense and being the community's duty of common defense under the laws of nature and nature's God and the purpose of government for people in a civil society. Per Article 1, Section 8, Clause 15, Article 6, Clause 2, Second Amendment, and the 10th Amendment, which enumerates states and people's powers. People don't understand, most people don't understand the involvement of the 10th Amendment in this subject. Future revitalized and operational local, county, state militia shall execute and enforce the supreme law, including the right of the people to keep and bear arms, whenever events make execution and enforcement necessary to the security of a free state. Thank you.
can see, this stuff gets pretty detailed. If you really want to understand the Constitution and the founding documents, more so of this country, it really does take study. You're going to understand the intent of which our Constitution was written. You've got to read the Federalist and the Anti-Federalist papers and understand the tone, the discussions that took place back then that shaped the documents that we have before us now. There's a couple interesting parts of that Constitution. In the Second Amendment, the only place something was deemed necessary. In the 14th Amendment is the first time you were referred to as a subject. So those sovereign types, those guys that are out there beating the drums about being a sovereign citizen, being a contracted number of the government, they might just have something there. Maybe we did when we said, yeah, give me that Social Security number. Why is it they want their infant to have a number that is used for when they work and for tax purposes? We try and get out of the hospital. Ask our guy over here about placing music for us, who knows a little bit about this. We got to watch the contracts we make. Every time we contract with government, we're getting in exchange. They like to call it privileges. All right, but it sounds good until you realize that what they're claiming to give you is something you already had. All right, so rights are asserted. They're not begged for or applied for. Rights are asserted.